Hello and greetings to everyone. We have the following questions to answer. Make x the subject of formula in the following equations. We are to make the variable x the subject of formula. That means we are to keep x on one side of the equation. X has to be alone. We take solution on the line or solution. For the first one, we have the equation ax plus b is equal to c. We are to make x the subject of formula. That means we want x to be alone. First thing, we are going to transfer the variable b to the right hand side. Transferring b, here b is positive, so b becomes negative. This will give us ax to be equal to c minus b. When anything crosses the equality sign, the sign of that variable changes. That's why b is negative here. Next step, we want x to be alone. For us to make x to be alone, we are going to divide all through by a. We divide the left hand side by a. Whatsoever thing you do to the left hand side must be done to the right hand side to maintain the equality sign. If you divide only the left hand side by a, then you have something like this. It's wrong. This side has been cheated, so it must be fair. Divide this other side by a. A will cancel a. We'll be left with x to be equal to c minus b on a. Finally, x is alone on one side of the equation. We have succeeded in making x the subject of formula. We end here. Next, we take 2i. For 2i, we have m minus nx is equal to s. Now, in this case, we need to transfer m this way. The sign of m is positive. When it crosses the equality sign, it becomes negative. This will give us negative nx is equal to s minus m. Next step, the coefficient of x is negative n. For us to make x the subject of formula, we are going to divide all through by negative n. This will be equal to s minus m divided by negative n. Negative n will cancel negative n. We'll be left with x equal to s minus m on negative n. Remember, with fractions, if we have a plus b over c, it is the same as a over c plus b over c. That means they have a common denominator. This will simply give us x to be equal to s all over negative n minus m all over negative n. This will give us x to be equal to negative s over n. We know when we have two negative signs like this, it becomes positive, plus m on n. This will simply give us x to be equal to, most often in mathematics, when we have a negative sign in front, we always send in the negative sign. So this will simply be equal to m over n, comes now in front, minus s over n. The negative sign has been sent inside. This will simply give us x to be equal to, they have a common denominator which is n, m minus s all over n. We have succeeded in making x the subject of formula. Next, we go now to question 3i. For 3i, we have ax plus b is equal to cx plus z. For us to make x the subject of formula here, in this case, we need to bring the like terms together. You will see that in the left hand side, we have a term which has x. The right hand side we have a term which has x. We are going to transfer cx to the left hand side, which becomes negative cx equal to d remains here. We are going to transfer b to meet d this way. B is positive. When it crosses, the sign changes to negative b. Looking at these two terms, you'll see that x is common. We can factor out x. We factor out x. We know x times a will give us ax minus, we know x times c will give us cx. This will simply be equal to d minus b. Next, for us to make x a subject of formula, we are going to divide all through by the coefficient of x, which is a minus c. This will give us x times a minus c. We divide by a minus c. It will be equal to d minus b divided by a minus c. If we divide this and this will cancel, we'll be left with x equal to d minus b all over a minus c. And finally, x is alone on the left hand side. X is the subject of formula. Next, we go to IV. For IV, we have b on x is equal to c. This will be the same as b on x is equal to c. Here can be expressed, can be written as c over 1. We know c over 1 remains the same as c. Next thing, we are going to multiply all through by the LCM of 1 and x, which is x. It's the same as saying we are going to cross multiply. This will simply give us b times 1 remains b. It will be equal to x times c. We take x times c, it is equal to xc. But most often we respect the alphabetical order. The letter c comes before x, so this will give us cx. This will give us cx. Next thing, we need x to be alone on one side of this equation. So we are going to divide all through both sides by the coefficient of x, which is c. This will give us b divided by c is equal to cx divided by c. C will cancel c. This will give us b over c is equal to x. B over c equal to x is the same as x is equal to b over c. We have succeeded in making x the subject of formula. Next, I'll partition this paper so we make good use of this space. We go now to the next question, v. For v, we have a p over x plus q is equal to r. First, for us to answer this question, we are going to start by sending q to the right hand side. This will give us p over x is equal to r minus q. Next, this will give us p over x is equal to r minus q, can be written as r minus q over 1. Next step, we are going to cross multiply. P times 1 remains p is equal to x times r minus q. R minus q must be written in bracket because we are multiplying all this by x. If you write something like this, because most often this is what students will do, it is wrong. In this case, only r has been multiplied by x. What of q? Which is wrong. That's why you must write this in bracket. Next, now for us to make x the subject formula, we are going to divide both sides by r minus q. This will give us p divided by r minus q is equal to x times r minus q divided by r minus q. R minus q will cancel r minus q. We'll be left with p divided by r minus q is equal to x, which is the same as x equal to p all over r minus q. We have made x the subject of formula. For vi, we have the equation ax plus b on c is equal to dx plus c. First thing, we know ax plus b over c is equal to dx plus c. You can write dx plus c as dx plus c over 1, so that we can easily cross multiply, or we multiply through by the LCM, which is c. This will give us ax plus b times 1 remains ax plus b is equal to c times c. We are multiplying all this by c times dx plus c. This will give us ax plus b is equal to, at the right hand side we need to expand this bracket. This will give us c dx plus c times c gives us c squared. Next, now we have to bring the like terms together. To see that there is a term at the right hand side which has x, we are going to transfer it to the left hand side. This will give us ax minus c dx is equal to c squared. We are going to transfer b this way, it becomes negative b. Next, at the left hand side, x is common, we can factor out, we are going to factor out x. So if we factor out x, we know x times a will give us ax minus, we know x times cg will give us cdx is equal to c squared minus b. Next, for us to make x the surrogate formula, we are going to divide both sides by a minus cd. X times a minus cd, we divide by a minus cd is equal to c squared minus b divided by a minus cd. At the left hand side, a minus cd will cancel a minus cd. We'll be left with x equal to c squared minus b on a minus cd. Finally, we have made x the surrogate formula in the above equation. We move now to v I. For v we have the equation s equal to t times x minus a. We have to make x the subject of formula. The first thing we have to do is we need to expand the bracket at the right hand side. We are going to obtain s equal to t times x, which is xt, minus t times a, which is negative at. We take note of the negative sign. Next thing, we are going to transfer negative at to the left hand side to meet s. This will give us s. When it crosses the equality sign, it becomes positive. This will give us s plus at is equal to xt. Next, we need to make x the subject of formula. We are going to divide both sides by t. We need to eliminate this t. This will give us s plus at all over t is equal to xt all over t. Let's continue this way. T will cancel t. We'll be left with s plus at all over t is equal to x, which is the same as x is equal to s plus at all over t. Finally, we have made x the subject of formula. We'll underline the result. Now we go to v I. For v I, we have the square root of x times a plus b is equal to b. For us to make x the subject of formula here, first thing we need to start by removing the square root sign. And the only way we can remove this square root sign is for us to square both sides of this equation. By squaring both sides, We know this is the reverse of this. It will simply be equal to b squared. If you square the left hand side, you must square the right hand side. This and this will cancel. We'll be left with x times a plus b is equal to b squared. X times a plus b, we need to make x the surrogate formula. It will be needless for us expanding. For us to have x alone at the left hand side, we'll simply divide both sides by a plus b is equal to b squared divided by a plus b. A plus b will cancel this a plus b. We'll be left with x equal to b squared all over a plus b. Finally, we have made x the surrogate formula of the equation. Now we go to the last question, which is ix. For ix, we have the equation square root of ax plus t is equal to b plus c. For us to make x the surrogate formula here, first thing we need to do is we need to start by squaring both sides of the equation. So give us the square root of ax plus t, all this squared is equal to, we are going to square all this, equal to b plus c squared. Most often you will see students writing something like this. You will see them saying b squared plus c squared. B squared plus c squared is not the same as b plus c, all this squared. So you take note, this is wrong. This is how you square them. This and this will cancel. We'll be left with ax plus d is equal to b plus c, all this squared. Next, we are going to transfer d to the right hand side. This will give us ax will be equal to b plus c, all this squared. When d crosses, it becomes negative. Next step, for us to have x alone at the left hand side, we are going to divide all through by equation of x, which is a, and this will simply give us ax divided by a is equal to b plus c, all this squared, minus d. We are dividing all this by a. Take note. So if you write something like this, because I know most of students will write something like this, it is wrong. We are dividing all this by a. A will cancel a. Will simply be left with x equal to b plus c squared minus d on a. Finally, we have made x the subject of formula. And we are done. If in case you have any worries in making a certain variable the subject of formula in a given equation, make sure you leave your problem at the comment section. Like the video, share, and subscribe to this YouTube channel. Thank you very much for watching.